Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have David Pascaru of Purely Imagine. David, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thanks. I'm very happy to be here. I'm excited.
No problem. Definitely excited as well, too. And before we jumped into the interview, I wanted to read a little bit more about David so you can hear about all the awesome things that he's doing. And David is the founder of Purely Imagine. Purely Imagine is a motion graphics company. They tell your story using custom-made animations. The pandemic caused them to severely pivot their business in ways they never thought possible before. David, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Oh yeah, let's do it. It's a great
Let's do it.
intro. Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. And so I wanted to kick everything off and hear a little bit more on how you got to where you are now. Could you take us through what I call your CEO story? We'll let you get started with all your awesome things you're working on.
Yeah, definitely. So this is sort of our pivot story. Prior to all the shutdowns, 6 or so months ago, we were a videography company. We were shooting a lot of events, mostly weddings and other video type projects. The shutdowns caused all of our weddings and other jobs to go away. My partner and I, Alan, we kind of, like everyone else, was confused in the beginning, but we didn't take very long to realize that we need to move forwards, that we, even if we could go shoot weddings again, we probably don't want to shoot weddings anymore. So we took the time that we had, because we only had time, nothing else. And we bought online classes of motion graphics and animations. Alan took like a 20-hour After Effects class, a 40-hour animation class. And we really just went all into motion graphics and animations. I noticed Alan was very into the animation. So I thought, instead of me learning what he is already learning, already knows, let me learn the other side. So I started buying books and classes on business and sales and marketing, which is why I'm here today, to continue to get our name out there and just teach the people about this niche industry we found, which is the motion graphics and animations. That's kind of our story.
Nice. I absolutely appreciate that and love that. I'll always say the word for 2020 should definitely probably be pivot. I've heard that so many times in the business circle, but I love how, like you said, you had nothing but time. So rather than sometimes trying to change things we can't change, to focus on what you can change, what pivots you can make, and really double down on getting those skills better so that you guys can provide quality services.
Yeah, that was our thought process. I mean, I like to joke around and say, I'm not one to sit around and mourn very often. I'm always kind of like, let's get going. What do we got to do next? And there was definitely a few days, maybe even weeks or so, where we were confused. We were playing around. I think we made some cooking videos. We made some workout videos. We're trying to figure out what we wanted to do. And the animation thing popped up into our minds. We ran with it. One video led to 2 videos, led to 3 videos, to where the organic growth has shown us like this, you're in the right position here, keep going. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I think so many times we forget about, the process and what it takes to get there. And a lot of times we forget about that experimentation process, or that level where you're trying to figure out what works, what sticks, so to speak. And then once you find something that sticks, you double down on that and make sure you keep pushing that forward. And so I know you touched a little bit upon like what stuck, the animation piece. Could you take us through a little bit more about that niche and how you serve the clients you work with?
Sure. Yeah. Well, really, really interestingly enough, while we were learning and trying to figure out what's going to stick, we started playing around with pre-made templates on the internet. And those were all animations, but we didn't know how they were made. We were just using the template, to where now we basically are creating those same things, where, it kind of went from just sort of seeing it to being able to do it. So what we do for our clients, I always like to say, is we create promotional videos or explainer videos, in the sense of, if you have a process or a certain aspect of your business that you'd like to give to tell your clients, or something that you repeat on a daily basis to your clients, we can take that information and make it a very visually stimulating piece that will grab their attention and, make them follow along and read and laugh at the animations or whatever. Really, the whole point to me is to just engage with them. We want, everyone is always busy. You have like 3 seconds to actually talk to get anyone's attentions nowadays. So our animations are all usually in the 30-second range, not any longer because no one would pay attention. Sometimes even shorter because we really just want to grab the attention. And it's more of an advertising piece where, you know, the animation will start, you'll look at it, it'll grab your attention. And then ideally you click on it, you read the bio, and then you move on with the, you know, in the advertising funnel in which, you know, maybe you go to the landing page or something like that. But everything we do is very customized. So we talk to the client and we hear, you know, what they want and, you know, what their style is, or maybe what videos from us they liked more or not. And we look through their website and we create a video that's really just for them. They're the only ones who have it. It's not a templated video, because there's a lot of explainer videos out there that are templated, where basically everyone has the same one. It's a different color, basically. That's not what you get when you call us. You're going to get your own custom animated video that tells your story.
Nice. Yeah. And I absolutely love that. You know, I love explainer videos. When we first connected, we talked a little bit about that and just how a lot of times hearing somebody, you know, an actual live person, I guess you can say, a human person, maybe a better way to say it, you know, explaining certain things sometimes doesn't resonate as much as having, you know, the graphics, having the funny animations and the things that people want to be able to communicate and maybe aren't able to communicate it as well. And it sticks with your end users, sticks with the people that are within your organization, just gives that opportunity for you to be in more places, more than one place at the same time, and be able to provide and make an impact.
Definitely, yes. That's a great way to put it. You should come on with me when I talk to potential clients to help me
Absolutely.
out.
Put me in on a scheduled call.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you feel like that part you spoke to is your secret sauce, the thing you feel kind of sets you apart, that ability to be able to not just create something that's cookie cutter, but to create something that really speaks for a client, speaks for a customer, because you have done that work and due diligence to find out who they are and what they want to communicate?
Yes, yeah, that's definitely, I could call that the secret sauce, where that's what sets us apart from the other, just video companies where, you know, if somebody wants to promote their hair salon, you're probably going to hire a videographer to come in there and film the hair salon. You might not even want to do that right now in the certain times we're living in. So that's where we come in, where I say, hold on, we don't even have to meet. I've worked with clients all over the country. Me and you, we met over the internet, and we live thousands of miles away.
Right.
So we can go in there, we can tell that same story of the hair salon without having to actually be in there, without even just doing the normal video filming. If they wanted to provide us with some footage or some video, we incorporate that into our animations. But we really are able to just, we're able to articulate information in a much more engaging way than just reading it in a blog post or just seeing a video. It's the fast moving images really get your attention, and that's our whole thing. So yeah, that's the secret sauce.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely love that. And I love how you touched on that blog post, because I've always felt like media really goes to another level when you're able to touch people in many different ways. And I think that so many times when you have and understand that people have a shorter attention span, to be able to say, even on top of a blog post, to say, hey, this is a video about what you can read if you want to, but I know you only have a short period of time. So here's this, and it'll engage somebody, and then it can lead somebody into reading a blog post or clicking on a button or calling you. But
Right.
I love how you talk about how that integrates into whatever process somebody might have.
Yeah, I mean, so we recently started running a blog, and all of our blogs, you know, a picture, an icon, we started labeling them like just blog 1, blog 2, blog 3, but each one of the numbers has a different animation that goes along with it. So number 1, I think the number sign is like bonking him in the head. And then like number 2, I kind of wrote about our pivot story. So it's kind of like the number 2 is on one side and then it jumps to the other side. And it's just like a funny little icon that plays. So, you know, that's what you'll see first, and then you can click on that to read the blog. And we've gotten some pretty good responses in that, you know, when people seem to be engaging more, you know, they're getting, the blogs are getting pretty good engagement, and I would credit it to the animation.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
being there.
Yeah, when you go to so many blogs and you don't see that, and it looks different. And like you said, we talked about the templated videos. A lot of times when you do those quote unquote small things or subtle things, it pops out and it wants somebody to engage, to find out more. And then all of a sudden you have a lifetime client.
Right, ideally.
Yeah, ideally. Exactly. And so I wanted to switch gears a little bit and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that
Okay,
makes you more effective and efficient?
okay. So I like that. So open on my computer right now, like it always is, there's an application called Notion, which is just a project management, app. There's tons of them out there. We like this one. There's more colors. It's just a very interactive spreadsheet that, you can make different views. So say I can click someone from a lead to a client and they'll just pop off one list and pop to the other list, which is just, very helpful. It does reminders and all that. As far as books though, because I'm big into books, I'm learning as much as I can all the time. I read one book that was suggested to me from a branding friend of mine. And the name of the book is Win Without Pitching by Blair Enns. And some people have heard of it, some people haven't. It's a book for creative entrepreneurs. That's what Blair Enns speaks about, having a creative firm. And his whole thing is value-based pricing and just how to make sure you're talking to the right people so you can get the value, that you're worth. And that's really just changed the way I think about everything, especially coming from a videography freelance standpoint. My value was, how much do you charge an hour? And how many hours is it? And that is totally not what we do anymore. We don't charge hourly. It's all custom made videos. So now it's just, well, you tell me what your problem is and I'll tell you how I'm going to solve it. And then this is how much it costs, and Blair Enns has really helped me learn how to navigate those conversations to bring more value to what we're doing and help see if it's not a correct fit with the client. A freelance mentality in my mind is, okay, well, how much can you pay? I'll just do the job, which, if you asked me 3 months ago, I probably would have said that. But today, as of, right now, I don't say that anymore. I very much say, this is how much it costs because this is where I value us. I'll try to point you in the right direction, maybe, if you can't, do it, or maybe we can come up with a new something else that's less intensive. But for the most part, that book, Blair Enns, and all of his teachings, because he has a podcast, he's on, he's on YouTube, all that. I've really just went into studying his work, and it's really helped me seem like a more professional firm when talking to clients, which is what you need, because they always say, come to the conversation as an expert, not as a generalist, like an expert practitioner is what he always says. When a lawyer or a doctor tells you, you need this, you don't question them or ask them. You say, okay, yeah, the doctor says I need this, I need that. Well, I'm a doctor in the creative content field and our prescription are animated videos. You came to me for this reason. I will help you,
Yeah.
That's Blair Enns. Win Without Pitching is that's his he has a business program. That's his like intro book, and then he has a few other books that I'm working on right now.
Nice. I absolutely love that. I love Notion, obviously, to be able to take all of the things and to
Okay.
be able to put it in one place. I know we use different project management tools, but I've heard great things about Notion
Okay.
as well, too, because there's so many things to kind of juggle and to be able to put them all in one place is an absolutely huge thing. And like you said, I think so many times we forget as entrepreneurs, as business owners, what we're ultimately doing. And I always say, I think the heart of entrepreneurship is solving problems. And I think when we take our different modalities, our tools, whether it be animated videos or web design or plumbing or whatever that might be, and understand the true value we're providing, it's not the thing that we're doing, but it's the problem that we're solving. That really helps us to see our value, but also helps clients or potential clients to see our value as well too, and how we're solving that problem in order for them to get to where they want to be. So I absolutely love that book, and I haven't heard it, so I have to check that out as well
Okay.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely read it. It's a really great read. It really like opens your mind to just being like, yeah, I am running a business.
Yeah.
I'm not just
Mhm.
a person playing on the computer making art. Like I am
Right.
actually running a business, and to do that, I need to follow these rules like every other business. When you go I don't know, like, you rent skis or something, right? They ask you for a deposit. Of course I'll give you a deposit. It's not even a question in my mind. So,
Right.
now I'm going to ask you for a deposit right away because I need to ensure that this is going to happen before I give you my intellectual property. I'm going to come up with an
Right.
idea for you. That's me working, you know. It doesn't matter if the idea took me an hour to come up with or 3 hours to come up with. It's, you know, that's what I do. So I need, you know, properly compensated for that, or just being held to that same value as other expert practitioners is my current goal.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. And a lot of times we forget, or sometimes consumers forget that, you know, you're paying for somebody's expertise, the time that they spent in order to get really great and become an expert at their craft, not for the quote unquote time that they spend, you know, turning the screw or hammering
Right,
the nail
exactly.
or creating whatever it is that we're enjoying. So I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you happen to a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
Oh my God, that's a big question. Let me read it again. So I think my golden nugget that if I could have told myself a few years ago, honestly, I mean, for business and I guess for just life in general, two things. One would be consistency. You know, Grisham, that myself and my fiance and my partner in the last few years, we've gone into nutrition and exercise and all of that. And the number one name of the game there is consistency. If I eat a pizza tomorrow, I mean, you know, yesterday, today, it's okay. I'm not going to give up my consistency. I'm just going to just go harder at it. And so I think I've embodied that same mentality into my business. Just I'm going to wake up every day and I'm going to do the things I said I'm going to do to just get to where I want to be. And it's been working. So for right now, as of December, we're booked. If you call me tomorrow for a project, I'm going to tell you, you know, we can work on it in January. To me, that's amazing, right? If you asked me 3 months ago if that I would have been booked in December, I would have said no. But I was consistent from then to now, to where all of my ideas and all of my leads and all of my tryings panned out to where now December we're booked, you know, and like that's an amazing feeling, because now all that means is I'll be able to book January, and then so it just keeps
Mhm.
me going. So it's the consistency, but also I think networking is a huge, huge part of business ownership and entrepreneurship, where just networking in, like right here we're talking, or in the different networking groups that are out there for people. I just think the more people you know, not directly pitching to them, do I want you to buy a product for me? 100%. I'll sell you something tomorrow. But I would rather you just know me and see my work, and then one day at some point in the future, something's going to click, and either you'll call me or your friend will call me. And I've seen it happen over and over again, that just to where now I'm a huge proponent of networking. I started networking. I was probably like 22 or 23 years old when I joined a networking group. I was a little hesitant on joining it. You know, it was a lot of money I was paying for myself. So it was just like, oh my God, $600 for the whole year. I don't know. My dad gave me some advice, and he said, just do it. And if you don't get business from it, you're going to learn how to talk about yourself. You're going to learn how other business owners talk about themselves and how they run their business. And it really just kicked me into shape. Ask me what I do, I can answer in a sentence now, when before, well, this is kind of what we do, and we can also do this. That doesn't fly when you're trying to really be a professional entrepreneur business owner. So really consistency and networking, I think I'm trying it right now. I'm committed to it. I was told never to say you're trying. I was told to say you're committed to it. So I'm committed to it, and we'll see. I know that was a very long answer. I do have one more answer for the secret golden nugget. I heard it's do all the crap you don't feel like doing. And I wake up in the morning and I think about that, and then I do that crap. That's that.
Nice. I absolutely love that. There's a book, I think Brian Tracy wrote it. It's called Eat That Frog. And the whole
Okay.
concept around it is eating the frog. Whatever the thing you don't want to do that could probably make and have the most impact, you do it early on. You do it at the beginning of the day, because if you
Okay.
wait, you won't get that done. Obviously, networking and connection is huge. I think so many times we forget in business that it's often just planting seeds, and those seeds sometimes sprout up very quickly. Sometimes it takes years and years and years for that to happen. But the more you get your brand, your business, what you do out there, the more people know you and can trust you, then it starts to become that truly, remarkable opportunity. So definitely, appreciate those, those nuggets, just because I think so many times you can get bogged down into, so many different aspects of business that you forget about how and what it takes to be successful. It's not doing everything, overnight. It's that consistency of networking, the consistency of creating content, consistency of all those different aspects in business, but also in life, that really allows people to be successful. So definitely appreciate those nuggets. And so now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the
Okay.
definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So David, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Okay. Being a CEO to me, I think it it I think it really just means to always have an open mind to what could be in the future, and having a very good grip on what is happening right now, in the sense we have projects we're working on now, so let's manage those projects and make sure they get done to the quality of which, we say they're going to get done. But don't just get caught up in what you're doing now, because you need to always be thinking about what's happening in the future, whether it's not just your next client, just maybe what's the next marketing strategy you're going to do, what's the next fun thing you're going to come up with that changes the way people see you. We're always thinking, we're going to have a cartoon show one day, right? We want to host a web seminar coming up soon. So, these are just all things that I just think about on a daily basis. What's the next thing I can do that's going to help my company grow, while we're still in the moment of doing the work? Because if you get stuck doing the work's going to end and you're not going to have anything. If you're always living in the future, nothing's grounding you to actually work. So I think it's just striking a good balance between the technician who's sitting here and working right now, the manager who has to manage all those things, and then also the entrepreneur who is thinking about tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Absolutely love that. And I've heard seeds of the E-Myth as well too, and being able to kind of be on that
Right.
balance beam and really understand like each of the different aspects. But like you said, if you're not focused on today, then of course you might lose today and the opportunity you have to build and grow, because you're so focused on the future, and vice versa. If you're so focused on the present without keeping one eye towards the future, you don't know what things might come about, what changes you need to make, what evolutions you might have to make in your business. And sometimes you can get caught off guard. So truly appreciate that definition. I appreciate that. I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things that you're working on.
Sure. Yeah. I think, we covered a lot of great stuff in this, and I appreciate all the questions. And I did give a little e-myth out there. And, I just, like I said, I'm reading books constantly. So I'm just taking in as much information as I can, for the listeners and the readers. So Purely Imagine, we make custom made animations and explainer videos. We'll be able to tell your story, and we're inspired a different type of story, not the same thing you've seen, every day when you scroll through Facebook. When you stop and you watch something, that's what we're trying to do for people. The best way to get in touch, is just my email, david@purelyimagine.com. You can check out our videos on our portfolio on purelyimagine.com. We send out a newsletter every so often. I like to call it Saturday morning cartoons, and we drop in a couple of the videos we've been working on. The whole point there is to try to hit a little nostalgia. I want you to open my email and I want you to think about when you were a kid and you were eating cereal, watching cartoons, and just that nice feeling you got. We're going to take that and put it into your business. So that's that.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I definitely appreciate that, David. We will have the links and information in the show notes as well too, so
Great.
that everybody can follow up with you. But I love all the, the ways in which you're helping businesses to be able to tell their story, talk about what it is that they do, and get back to those Saturday morning cartoons as well too, which,
Exactly.
takes me back to those fun cereal eating mornings as well too. So David, truly appreciate that. Appreciate all the awesome things you're doing, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks.
All right, and I'll cut it off here. Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh again from the I Am CEO podcast, and we had a phenomenal interview with David Pascaru of Purely Imagine. He provided so much value and so much information on how he helps businesses to be able to tell their stories through animation, but also a lot of valuable content and business information that we can learn from. So, David, for people that might just be listening to this bonus section, could you introduce yourself to us, tell us a little bit more about you and what exactly you all do?
Sure. Nice to talk to you again. David Patsker from Purely Imagine. We are a motion graphics and animation studios. We inspire a different type of story. We inspire business owners to stand out and do something different than what everyone else is doing. We create custom motion graphics and animations to tell the business's story, whether it's a specific aspect of your business or just a promotional for your business. We do it in a way that other people aren't doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I love that came up, during the interview as you spoke so much about being able to understand not just the templates or the things that might be out there for businesses, but to really delve down deeper into understanding a person's business, understanding what they want to communicate or what they could communicate. And then it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, working backwards from there to kind of showcase themselves, their story, what they do in the best light possible so they don't have to say it 130 times a day.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I always say, what's the one thing you say every single day? I'll animate that for you. You
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know one of the big things that we kind of talked about, offline, and it was referenced, in the podcast interview itself was about value-based pricing. And that really hit home with me as well, too. I know you mentioned it during the interview that it did, but I think when you're getting started and you may not be as quote unquote confident or even aware of where you should be pricing your value, we often kind of go back to the hourly pricing model, the kind of 9 to 5 pricing model for lack of a better term. So could you talk a little bit more about that? Because I know you've delved down really deep into that and you
Okay.
talked about that in the podcast.
Yeah, sure. So value-based pricing is a theory I've heard recently in the last few months that I've really just started studying and wrapping my head around. There's a lot of good information out on it. I said on the podcast, there's Win Without Pitching by Blair Enns. He's on YouTube and he has podcasts. Someone else, Chris Doe, is also on YouTube and he embodies value-based pricing all the time. He has great videos. Really, the whole idea is just coming at your business from an expert practitioner standpoint, not from a generalist. The way they describe it in the value-based pricing books and all is that a lot of people are afraid to become to niche down and find the one thing that they want to do. A lot of people, especially in the creative industry, think that being a generalist is going to really help them be more successful, because if somebody needs a graphic design, I can do that. If somebody needs a video, I can do that. And so that's what everybody just immediately kind of falls to that. And we also did that early on. I was creating graphic designs and proposal booklets for companies, as well as the animations. And after learning the value-based pricing and niching down, I figured, we're not doing that anymore. We are one company. I said it, we're a motion graphics and animation studio. People often come to us like, can you design me a logo? I can't design you a logo. I can point you in the direction of someone who will design you a logo, and then I can animate that logo for you. And just the idea there being is, if you're an expert practitioner in your niche field, you know what you're talking about. So therefore people will listen and they'll value your opinion, because this is all I do day in and day out. I make animations for businesses. So if I say I think this is a good idea, I have a pretty good backing as to how that, as to why I think that. And that's the whole value-based pricing kind of conversation. So, for freelancers, a lot of the times they, like you said, hourly based rates is kind of the way that it just goes. And I've done that for years. Nowadays, when someone says, "Oh, I'd love a video. How much does it cost? And how long is it going to take?" I can't answer those questions because I just met you. Like we need to talk a little bit more. I need to kind of see where you're at. What are you looking for? And then I'm going to prescribe. I'm going to come to it as like, from a medical standpoint. I'm going to prescribe my solution to you, and you can take it or leave it. Because that's what I think is going to solve your problem. Yeah, I don't know what else. I have
Yeah.
some other stuff. I don't know.
No, that's huge. I mean, I think it's something that so many times we forget because I think again, and I don't know if it comes from that, job mentality where it's like how much do you make per hour? So when I start a business, I'm going to figure out and maybe, pack in, some of the expenses that I have, but I'm going to charge this amount per hour. So it's always kind of creating that, I guess, linear relationship between your work and the hours that you work, and then the dollar per hour that you're going to charge. But I think it's huge because what we talked about, during the interview was that you don't really question an attorney. You don't really question a doctor based off their expertise, but it is really hard, if not impossible, to become an expert at all of the things. So to really niche down and really to own that, to live, breathe, sleep, and eat animations as you spoke to, it allows you that opportunity to really get great at your craft, but it also allows you to be an expert at that. And so when you say something, it holds a lot of weight because you put in the 10,000 hours, you put in the work in order for that to happen. And I think so many times we forget about that when we're building our business. And then taking it a step further, when we're sitting down with clients, you're not having a conversation around, oh, here's an animation. You're having a conversation that sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the value that we're providing to your business. This is the problem that we're solving. This is how we're filling those gaps so that you can reach more people, so that you can engage more on your website, so that people will call you more. And that sounds a lot different than sometimes just here is an animation and this looks really cool, rather than this is the value that I'm providing. This is why I need to have more than a first date conversation with you so I can know how to provide that value.
Exactly. That's exactly what we do on a daily basis. Another part that they talk about in value-based pricing is a lot of times creatives, we're a little more scared to talk about pricing because I'm afraid that I think the idea is that some people, we feel that we're taking advantage of the person maybe, I'm asking for $600 for a project or something like that, but I really want to ask $1,000 for that project. But do I want to ask this person? I feel bad doing that. And the whole, oh man, I lost my train of thought. Wait. Sorry.
No, you're completely fine. No, that really hit home with me because I think so many times when you're having those conversations and, you sometimes, I often say we'll put ourselves and maybe I hate to use the word limitations, but sometimes that's what it is, where we think that person won't pay as much. We feel like we are taking advantage of them when that is not always the case. Sometimes they are ready and willing to pay for the value that you provide.
Yes, I agree, and you made me remember what I wanted to say. So in some of the books I'm reading, they say to tackle the pricing conversation early on, and that almost goes against some of the other stuff I've said. But in a way, if you're doing the value-based pricing conversation correctly, it helps you. If if I'm afraid to say the price because I think you're going to say no, I want to know that before I spend an hour trying to get to know you, right? Because if you're just going to say no because I dropped the price in there, then I'm going to, okay, sorry, I'm going to move on to the next person or try to find the next person that will, entertain those prices. So it's why waste, two conversations or a week or something to finally give the price at the end when I finally think they understand the value, just for them to, say no. Now we very often, I'll show my value, and at the end I'll say it's going to cost this much, and then I'm just quiet, right? That's what I've heard many times in all the sales books I've read. After you give the price, the next person who talks loses, right? That's the joke, right? So it's going to cost about $1,200 for that project. I want to hear what you have to say, because anything I say is probably going to just undercut myself. I'll be, but we could probably do for 800 if this or that or this. So, but like, hold off on that part because you have no idea what they're thinking. You might drop a $1,200 price and they might think they just got the deal. They already think they got the deal. So like, hang on it for a second. And I'm really trying to practice that as much as I can. And to that same point, a word that I'm trying to use a lot more often while I'm talking to clients is policies, right? It's our policy to do this. It's our policy to do that. Big firms have policies. Although I'm a little firm with just me and a partner working, we also have policies because we are trying to be something bigger than just me and the partner. We're trying to be an expert firm in animation. So, the policy is that you don't get an idea until we get the deposit in. That's not us being mean, trying to grab money from you, but that's, part of what we do is come up with ideas. So we should only be paid for our ideas. So we have instilled a policy that goes conversation, contract, deposit, idea, animation. Before we were giving out proposals, we were giving out whole ideas. Here's the exact animation I want to make for your company. And then they don't answer. They say, no, thank you. And it's like, wow, I just wasted a whole afternoon trying to come up with an idea. But at least now, if I can secure the deposit, secure the contract, then I give you my idea. I feel a lot more confident in where we're going. And I think that also just helps the customer feel more comfortable, right? Because the person that you're working with also wants to think that you know what you're doing. So to be very hard and confident, like, okay, so these are the next steps. I'm going to send you over a contract. We're going to get the deposit in, and then we'll get over to the creative, the fun part. They're following the rules, and people need the structure rather than just it being, oh, I'll get back to you with an idea and we'll take it from there. Like that's very artsy freelance way of looking at it. We're trying to run a business.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a Muhammad Ali quote where he said, I was the greatest even before I said I was the greatest even before I was, even before I became that. And a lot of times we forget that how you do one thing is how you do everything. And to be able to be that big firm and the firm that you aspire to be and we aspire to grow into, and we all have our aspirations and our goals, you don't do it on the day you become that. You do it well before that. And it's those policies and those things, those actions, the repetition, the consistency that we talked about during the interview that amounts and grows into that. And I think so many times, in sales, especially having those conversations, we will lose out on, opportunities because we sometimes will talk ourselves out of them. I even in my sales, background and my sales jobs that I've had, there was, I don't even know if it's an official phrase, but it was always assuming the sale. So you would always set everything up and then you would say, okay, here's a contract, here's a paperwork, we'll send you the invoice, we'll do all those things. And then you only take a step back if somebody says, well, no, I'm not ready, because you almost assume that the value that you're providing and the thing that you're doing, because you've listened, you've had that conversation, you've crafted something that helps to solve those problems, is right in line with what they're looking for. Then if they say, okay, maybe this might be a little too much, maybe you try to figure out, okay, is it a time frame? You try to really ask those questions if you didn't ask them in the beginning to try to understand that. But you're absolutely right. You use the phrase intellectual property, during the interview. A lot of times we're giving away our intellectual property prior to us actually having clients and actually having companies and actually having the deposit as well too. So
Right.
we're kind of shooting ourselves in our foot, but we're also not allowing our gift to reach as many people as possible, which I think is really the real big shame and detriment to having and approaching things from that standpoint.
Yeah, we're definitely we're holding on to that idea that our thoughts are our work, right? I'll go over to my partner's house, and we're buddies, we're best friends, so we're working, and but we're also having a good time, and so I'm going over Alan's house to work, and my fiance says, oh, you're going to Alan's house again? It's like, yeah, I'm not just going to hang out at Alan's house, like I'm going there because we have a specific way of doing stuff, and we're going to bounce ideas off each other, and we're having a great time doing it because we're talking about a fun, lighthearted topic like animation, but still our brain power, the expertise that we have from our film backgrounds, from our movie backgrounds, from the weddings we shot, from the cartoons we watch. I watch cartoons all the time, that helps us come up with the ideas. So, it's, yes, we made the commitment to secure the client and then give away our intellectual property.
Yeah.
That's our we're working on that now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I myself and a lot of people that probably listen to this as well too have evolved from that, and you have to kind of do that balance being between providing value. But I think I've always said, you provide value on your terms, so to speak. So you decide this is what I want to provide value and how I want to do it, whether it be hopping on a bonus section or hopping on a podcast and providing insight versus somebody saying, okay, let me see all your ideas that you have for me. And then you don't have a contract or anything from that standpoint. So David, truly appreciate that. I appreciate you again for hopping in on the bonus section. What I want to do is pass you the mic again just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know about value pricing, and then also how best people can get a hold of you and find out about all the awesome things you guys are working on.
Sure. Yeah. So value-based pricing, I think it's changed the way I've thought about my creative career. Up until this point, I was an artist just getting paid to make art, but I've made the decision that I'm more than an artist. We're a business now. I'm an entrepreneur, and I want to grow that in many ways. And I think the only way to really do that is use that value-based pricing idea. So I recommend that all creatives, whether you're a videographer, a website developer, a photographer, a graphic designer, really look into value-based pricing. I've heard instances where, a website developer charged 3 times as much money for something he thought he would never be able to charge, only because he instilled the value pricing conversations rather than how he used to do things. So I would just recommend everyone reading Win Without Pitching by Blair Enns and any other information you could get on value-based pricing. As far as getting in touch with us, you can go to our website, purelyimagine.com. My email is david@purelyimagine.com. We send out a newsletter pretty frequently. Like I said in the interview, we call it Saturday morning cartoons, just a cute little thing to just touch your nostalgic area and also showcase the work we've been doing recently. A big part of what we're doing now, I've noticed, is a lot of people want logo animations and intro outro videos. And so that's something we've kind of running a little special on to the end of the year. Let's get everyone's logo animated and really engage people, with their brand. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely, again, have those links and information in the show notes, and definitely appreciate you again for hopping on this bonus section. I think that's something that all entrepreneurs, but especially the creative entrepreneurs, need to know to make that mindset shift and that change towards being a business, being a quote unquote CEO, entrepreneur, business owner, and running your business like that. Because you have, an art, you have value, you have a talent, and a gift at that. And it's only right that, you be able to showcase that and impact as many people in many organizations as possible. So David, appreciate that reminder again, my friend, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day.
Great. Thanks again. Thank you.